I can never tell with Twitch. It's something I need to learn. Today, welcome to another episode of Panicle Podcast for Geeks. My guest today is Tony Fritz, and we are going to talk about Supernatural because we are both big fans of the show.
Yeah,
oh yeah, Tony's got all the gear. I could probably match you show for show, item for item.
You have a tattoo now, though. You didn't before.
Oh yeah, right here.
Upped your So let's show our Supernatural tattoo.
I forgot. That just tells you how well I am. I forgot I had this tattoo on my body. You got the Mark of Cain sword. You got the Mark of Cain. You got the dagger. You got the coin.
And I have a little Castile right there. Oh, and there's also an Impala. You can't really see it. It's right there.
Oh, I don't even have.
Like a little obsessed.
I have the coin, but I don't know what I do. My guess is everything is in storage right now. So, I'm trying to give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out if we're live. I think it might have.
I'm gonna have to say all this again.
I don't know what's going on. It's giving me the weird network error. So I'm just checking to make sure it's up. This is the same thing that happened last week.
Send a link to my.
Oh no, we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Professional.
This is how I'm.
Like you don't know if like Twitch is like.
So I've been using OBS Streamlabs for because it's easy to like set a screen and capture, and I think part of I'm getting some drop frame rates, and I think part of that is the same thing that happened when I was on a Cold Carry. I think it's because they're streaming a video in the other room, and it's taking all my bandwidth away. It's my only logical guess because I never get drop frames while we're doing these calls. But I'm also thinking Streamlabs hasn't updated, and I might have to switch to plain OBS, which, whatever. Let's move on. So,
okay.
I will let you know if we drop, because last session I did with Danny, we dropped, and I had to start it over again. But it's not a big deal. It will be the same link, everyone, in case I do drop. So, you're caught up, obviously.
Yep, I caught up yesterday.
I almost got the ending ruined for me because I was on Twitter. And people are all posting. Before we get going, anyone who hasn't seen the last episode of Supernatural, spoilers. Yeah, it was like.
And you know me, like as soon as I saw the spoilers, I was like immediately like, oh, I have to go watch now because like I get excited with spoilers. I'm like the opposite of you, where like I'll look for spoilers, and then especially with this last episode, I was like super excited because I was seeing some stuff about stuff being confirmed, and I was like, yeah.
Well, I saw So I didn't know about I knew there's some fan fiction, that much I was aware of, obviously, like, because that's just, there's fan fiction for everything, obviously.
Yeah.
And I knew there was some fan fiction of, like, the love interest between Dean and Castiel, and I was like, that's cool, whatever, that'd be fun. But they don't lean into it, right? Like, I think people have a problem with that, which is what, like, on Twitter and everything, people are angry saying that the writers don't want those two to get together, and I'm just like,
I mean, it's a touchy thing. It's like a hard subject to really like get into, and I understand they have their whatever interest that they have to look out for.
I mean, the show, in my opinion,
I
was like, the show's about to end. Give the fans what they want.
Yeah,
it would have been an epic way to step out.
Day, like, my stance on the show coming to an end is. First of all, full disclosure, like I was hurt by Dexter, the series, like that ending. I pretend it doesn't.
They're bringing it back, by the way.
Hurt me.
They're bringing it back.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's another episode. Okay, but I'll be on that show after that is wrapped up.
Yeah, you like all those murder shows.
Yeah, but like I feel like no matter how they end the show, for me, this is just my personal opinion. No matter how they end the show. Whether or not it's the ending that I want, it is what it is, and it's how they choose to end the show. I still have 15 years of content to go back and enjoy. So even if like the last episode like goes full Dexter Morgan on it, I'll just be like, that episode doesn't exist, and I'll go back and enjoy the rest of it. So like, I don't know what ending I want at this point and what would be like satisfactory. And at the end of the day, like no matter what ending you present, it's gonna piss off like half the fandom. So.
Yeah, that's the welcome to any show that ever existed.
Right.
There's
especially if it's like super popular and been on for so long. It's gonna be people with different ideas.
Yeah, you're not gonna. People are just gonna be mad, and there's nothing you can do about that, I guess. But I'm with you. Like I've gotten so many years out of this show. I mean, we both got tattoos. You wouldn't do that for a show that you
That
don't
you,
like at this a
yeah,
specific level, right?
casually care about.
Yeah, I think I'll just get this tattoo because it looks cool. And then you're like, that show sucked. Like anyone who got a Dexter tattoo, I feel bad for,
I
or
know.
like there's shows where I'm just like, or like people who went in and named their kids after
Like
Game of
Khaleesi or
Thrones, yeah,
whatever.
Khaleesi or whatever, and then you're like, oh well, that was a bad
And it's
idea.
definitely risky to get a tattoo for a show that's still in the air.
I
Even
figured
if
they
you go
weren't
wrong.
gonna not end on some form of a high note. I get it.
Yeah,
Like I was talking to you about this the other day about how I feel like some of these episodes seem very weak, but you had a good point. It's because they're dealing with the pandemic, and they
yeah.
probably are limited. Because in my head, I
And
was
like
thinking,
how many people can even be in the room and stuff like that. Like there's
yeah,
all these challenges that they've had.
I mean, it's just I was watching it like this is kind of weak for the show. Like not the usual like I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding stupid, but like the level of awesome that we expect from it,
Right.
especially for a final season. They have like
Yeah.
4 episodes left,
I'm
3.
not sure.
So I'm hoping they like took all like their budget and they were like, we're just gonna pump it into these last,
Yeah. Which is
3.
possible. And it's probably like they're also building to a finale. And so like I almost feel like any because like a lot of the episodes that were like, whoa, like that's crazy what happened is like a lot of those were filler episodes. Like Mystery Spot like advanced the storyline because like it brought Gabrielle back into the like back onto the board. But like
Yeah,
that's like a big filler episode because it's just like it's crazy. Like he just dies many times and like even there's episodes that are like they'll go like after like a nest of vampires or whatever and we're not getting a lot of that this time. Like there was
right.
the episode with Cass and Jack going to like that church or whatever and dealing with that, but um it
That
kind
one
of
was
like vaguely advanced the storyline in that like Sam
yes.
and Dean went and talked to Amara, but like that in a previous season would probably have been like bigger.
Yeah, I feel like they're like what we're getting are like these little filler episodes that remind us of like the relationships between
I
these
think that's what
characters.
they're going for. Yeah.
Which I get it. Like they're showing you like Sam and Dean are constantly like fighting, but they're also brothers. And then Cass is now like, you know, he understands that he's basically like a father figure to Jack. It's because you
Yeah.
see that in the episode when they're in the church. He's kind of like looking at Jack like he really does care about that kid, right? He
That
made
kid,
him.
yeah.
That's his kid technically.
Well, because he had that like bond with him when he was still
Right.
in the womb.
And
But
I don't know, man. I'm hoping for a bigger. Like I don't feel like they're gonna let me down at the end, but I feel like it's not gonna be what I want to see. I just don't know where they're
yeah,
gonna go with
for
it
me, I'm going into it like zero expectations.
because
Like
there's
I
no
don't have an
like
idea of what I want it to be. I don't know what it's going to be like. I think that's what's going to make it like whatever it is easier for me is that like I don't have any expectations. I have zero. Like the fact that Amara's back in the game, I'm like, all right. Like
yeah
I didn't like her, but I mean I like her more now. But like when she came back into the show, I was just like, all right, well, that was a weird storyline, but however it plays in,
I think
and
like her character is. I'm trying to figure like it feels like there's all these characters in play that are stronger than God, kind of.
right,
Amara like has this control, like he can't do what he needs to do without her.
yeah,
Which I was like, dude, but you're God.
yeah.
Like
There's
you should have all the ability. But then I get it. Like he didn't make her, right? She was made with alongside
yeah.
of him, I guess, which is a hard thing to think about. The same thing with the empty. Like I was like, what the fuck is the empty? Like this thing is almost as strong as these guys, and obviously they were either came from the same like Big Bang these guys were created from, and
Yeah.
or were created by. I haven't figured out who made the empty, but that thing seems almost as
Well, yeah,
strong.
and like death is supposed to be like not more powerful, but like outside of the realm of what God created, because like he
Yeah,
didn't answer like to God. And now there's like the Billy storyline, which I don't know that I like that they made Death into like a villain character. But again, it's not my show, so
no,
I'll roll
but
with it.
I feel that too. I felt a little bit like, oh, she's on their side. She's helping them figure stuff out, and
Yeah,
then she,
because Death is supposed to be neutral, and now they're making her like a
well,
villain.
she's pretty much stuck in the empty now, or
Yeah.
dead. I don't know how that works. Well,
So
Seth
yeah,
can't
people
die.
were upset on Twitter that like, oh, Cass professed his love and then he died, but Cass isn't dead. Like we've definitely that was something in this episode that was illustrated clearly was that people that go to the MT right now are not dying. Like they're
Right.
not, like Jack's not dead. Like he's not Cass. So I don't think we've seen the end of Cass.
No, I think
I
they'll
don't think
bring
we're
him
just gonna
back
like
and
suck them into the empty and then that's bye. Like I
no,
don't
no,
see
they're
that.
definitely not dead, and that's what I'm saying. Like death can't die,
Yeah.
from what I recall. But yeah,
Yeah, because
they're
some other entity will step in,
right.
like she
Because
did when the other death.
I like the other death.
I did like the other death. I
So
mean, and I like her for her like when before kind of this arc, which is not it's not. But I love the actress. Like she's just like this
yeah, I mean,
powerful. Like yeah,
she's not like the last actor was very casual with it.
yeah.
I get what they were
I
trying
like
to
the
do,
different ways they play it for sure.
but I was trying to think back like to like older episodes to be like, is there something we're missing? Is there something they're gonna reach back to? Because I feel like the next couple episodes, I think it's three, like it. I feel like they're gonna reach and give us some like throwbacks just for the
Yeah,
fans, maybe.
probably.
But I mean, at this point, they're like, let's. I feel like they're also doing that thing that shows do. They're like, let's give her to everybody, like, and then ta-da, we bring it all back.
Yeah,
Just like he destroyed pretty much all the universes except the one that's left, which is our universe, right?
yeah.
But I feel like, and I really hope they don't do that cheesy thing they do in movies where they're like, I've had a premonition. I've been, God's like, I was bad. I made a mistake. I'm just gonna
Yeah, because
bring
Amara's already
everything back.
pointed out that you're being the villain, and he was like, okay.
Yeah,
Like, he didn't care.
exactly. Like he's super mad, but that's also kind of biblical, right? God has like that wrath where he was like, I gave you guys everything and you threw it away,
Yeah.
And he's like, I did
Which,
everything I
and
could and you threw it away.
yeah. I don't know. Like, if I'm gonna like wax philosophical about like the message of the show, there were definitely some little tidbits in the show, the last couple episodes that were like felt like they were there to remind us all that like sometimes you feel like you don't have any control and it's like all gonna go how it goes, but you're still you. And I feel like that was a big part. Like if you think back to, I forget which episode in which season, but I remember that moment where like the Destiel fandom started to go a little bit nuts. And well, I mean they've been nuts, but like I'm one of them. But there was a moment where it was when Dean was struggling with learning that like God wrote all this and he had no like free will.
Yep.
And so he was like, well, like what good has come from it? What's the purpose? Why does it even matter? And Castiel was like, us, we are, like,
Yeah.
and that fandom took it as like me and you, but like what Castiel was saying was like, we're still here and like we're still living and we still matter. And I feel like that's a big kind of undercurrent of like the episodes is that like, yeah, sometimes it feels like you don't have any control and like things are going, you're losing control in like the whole situation, but you're still here and you're still you. And that's what matters. And like the friendships along the way and the people that you've bonded with like along the way are what matter.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that's me projecting.
No, you're right. I feel like they're totally they have like a underlying message in a lot of the newer episodes, like because the earlier ones are just straight cut. Here's a monster. We're gonna go get it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what the show started off. It was supposed to be like a monster
that's what do they call that? Starts with a C. Oh crap, I can't remember. Like there's a word that describes all like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, no.
Nope.
Cryptid?
Oh my god, our friends do art based on that. What's the word?
It'll come to me at some point, but there's a specific word for that style of like show
They're
or
all
art.
screaming it right now.
Cryptology.
No, that's not it.
That's not it, but interesting name. Oh,
It's like
I'm reading the chat.
No, what is
Cryptics?
the word? Oh my god.
Cryptology doesn't sound wrong. It'll come to
Whatever.
me. But my point is, like, the early episodes were like, you could tell that the writers were
mythology and, like the mythological characters and stuff.
yeah, they're like, let's folklore. Like they pick like those mythical beings. And stuff. Cryptids. Is that it? Yeah, that's
cryptids.
it.
The cryptids, like the monsters. The
Yes, that's it.
Folklore creatures.
Cryptids. So like that's one of the things that I really liked. That drew me to the show initially because the idea of that was it's like okay, but then I had that secondary thought where like how long can they keep doing a show like this, right? And then they slowly started putting in like that theological angle, and at first I was like, this is a dicey move because
if you think about it, like a lot of the cryptids, are based in like local folklore, and like every
Sure.
kind of like small like tribe or clan or village or whatever had their own cryptids, because that's how humans would always explain things that we couldn't explain, disappearances and stuff like that. So like each little, the Celtics and the Celts and the Native Americans and everybody has always had their cryptids. If you think about it, the whole theological
Yeah, yeah.
angle is like this just big cryptid
Yeah, I
of
mean,
like
like
this.
everything it's interesting because like I started looking up a lot of mythology for my series and stuff, and like you'll you'll see a lot of similarities in some of this. So I could see like they were like how you can work things into the show that would line up. And like I said, like when they started going the theological angle, I was like, you can't stick 100% to Christianity or Catholicism because I think that's a hard sell because of life. But
Yeah.
they still did a good job of mixing in um, the rest of the folklore inside of that. And then
Yeah.
like the later seasons, they've gotten a little more. Once they started bringing God into play, they were like, okay, God's here now, so we have to
Yeah. And then
get
they
back
definitely
to.
deviated with like, God's sister, because I don't know that that's a thing in any like Abrahamic like religion. There's definitely like gods that have, in the like Greek and Roman, but like they're definitely going for like the most well known like one god.
Yeah, yeah, because if you were to
Monotheistic.
be like, because there's obviously every single religion has its own god, but if you were to like, so there wasn't like, I did like how they introduced the other gods from other religions as
Yeah.
like sub gods. I don't know what to, because
Well,
there was an
they're definitely
episode where
leaning
they
into
showed
like
what's that?
they're definitely leaning into like monotheism,
Yeah, because like there was an episode where they
which is
showed
probably why I can keep it as fiction in my mind. No offense
no,
to
I mean
anybody
there
who's
was an
watching.
episode I'm pretty sure where they showed a Hindu god, um,
Hmm.
and then there
Yeah,
was one with
I mean,
a
and they had like some of it, like they had like Thor is like
yeah,
alluded to with the
they've had
hair
the
and stuff like that.
Greek gods in there, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But they didn't make. Obviously, the writers are probably Christians or Catholics because they didn't make those gods the strongest gods. I don't know why, but maybe because, like you said, the most popular god is this god, right? The most well known. I shouldn't use the word popular. That's not what I meant.
Yeah,
Um,
or at
and
least in Western culture, the most well
yeah,
known.
Western culture
Is
is a good way to say it.
and Abrahamic religions, like because there's like Abrahamic is when there's like one God, and like they all came from like Abraham, which and like Adam and even stuff like that, which is like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are all Abrahamic religions, and they're definitely
That's
leaning
it.
heavily into that. And then they touch on other like beliefs and stuff, like the Roman and the Greek and the some of the Native American gods and some of the other.
I like
Uh,
that though, right? Because then you're like, that's the that's one of the things like when I'm gonna refer to my series one more time, but like when I talk about like different characters that I come up with, and I sometimes I pull from the old mythology. I like the fact that somebody might take the time to, hey Sam, welcome to the show, man. What was so funny that he came in there to show that?
oh no, it wasn't so funny. It was just very very blue.
Got it. Oh yeah, I think they just announced that they announced Biden won.
Are we gonna announce it on the show that he has 284 electoral votes?
Hey,
Just
according
anyway.
to something my friend just said, NPR announced Biden wins presidency according to AP, edging Trump into in turbulent race. CNN projects Joe Biden wins the presidency. I'm not. I'm gonna go confirm this after this, but we're gonna
But
keep going here.
you were saying.
So somebody on the chat is saying, they called them the Forgotten Gods, also known as the three religions of the book, which is yeah. So like those are all those things that I think it was fun for people to learn from, like just like when I'm writing, I learned so much because like initially I was like I said this before, but I focused mainly on Egyptian mythology and Greek mythology, the two that I really liked reading about. I was raised Catholic, so I was already bombarded with that information. I didn't want to learn more
Yeah.
about it because I knew enough. But
I
then,
was raised like Baptist, Southern Baptist, Methodist, so like super like Christian
oh, you
Protestant.
got like the heavy books,
Oh,
but
I got like
yeah,
like I have so much like that's what's funny is like I have so much biblical knowledge, and I think that's what like makes it a little bit fun for me is that like I see where they pulled this from and this, and like I'll
Yes.
disagree with it too. Like I didn't like the Eve storyline because I was like, oh, they could have done that different. I don't like the Lilith part of it because like you could have done something
I
different
thought
there.
they
But
were
like that's
doing
okay.
good.
It's okay for me not to like it. That's not my favorite part, but I can still
Sure.
enjoy it because I can see where they're pulling it from.
The Lilith storyline, I I felt like they were doing good, and then it was like they couldn't figure out what to do with that character. Like you had this awesome idea, you were
Well,
like,
that was
we're
all before season 5, right? Wasn't the
yeah,
Lilith stuff like the end of the? So I don't know if viewers are aware, but like Supernatural was supposed to end at season 5, and Cass was supposed to be God. That was like the ending.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
that's what it was like. The Swan Song was supposed to be like Cass is God. That's the end of it. So then the Lilith thing, if they knew they were gonna go for like another however many years, they could have put her into like this bigger arc, and like she could have been like, a huge story arc. But I think that's why they went that way with like Lilith was like just like this demon and all that.
That's no, the Lilith storyline is that the one that's part of the one where Sam had to break the seals, right?
Yeah, I think if
Yeah.
I'm remembering correctly,
And
a
then he
long
was
time
drinking
ago,
because
but
like it was all bananas. He was drinking all the demon blood and getting strong and all that. And I thought, okay, I I liked where they were going with that because I really liked the idea of them needing their own vessels,
yeah.
and I liked the idea like how they were like everyone has okay, so it's kind of they kind of like abandoned that idea a little bit. Remember initially they would be like so and so is a specific vessel
Yeah, like
for
Dean
like
was specifically Michael, and Sam was specifically Lucifer, and it was supposed to be this great battle between Michael and Lucifer. And I think that's where they were going with, and then like Dean refused, so then they brought in Adam, which was they could have done so much. That
yeah,
character just
that character was
needs to
great.
have more of a freaking stuff, but whatever.
And they
They
brought
also
him back
abandoned
for
him
a
in the 80s
minute.
for like 10 years, but
Yeah.
um, and then I
And
think what happened in the 4th season was they got picked up for more episodes. So then they were like, okay, but then what do we do after this? And I think that kind of like caused
yeah.
a lot of stuff to fall off the tracks a little bit, which
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
complaining because we got 10 years beyond and I'm excited. But yeah, I
I
think that's
mean
why
like
like there's a lot of early stuff that if you really think back, like the whole Christo thing and like stuff like that like they just kind of like hope you forgot about.
so somebody said I get so annoyed with bad Lilith stories. She's always misrepresented. Yeah,
Oh man, trust me, I draw
that's
Lilith every year, and like she's my girl, and nobody's done her any justice yet.
yeah. Well, I think it's because it comes down to like there's a point where you're just like, okay, we've done X, Y, and Z with Lilith. What do we do? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, dude, just follow the stories. They're there for you, right? It's like I was like I always get
They
excited about
probably
the
also
angles,
walk a really thin line of making sure that they don't actually like
piss somebody
openly
off.
offend, like
Hmm.
Abrahamic religious fans
Sure,
and stuff. Which I mean, I
I get
see
it.
that, and I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody either. So like, I get it, and I don't. I think that's why I'm not too bothered by it.
I
Because
mean,
like
like,
I have my own feelings about like the like Christianity and what I grew up in, but like
sure.
I don't need this show to like feel the same way, basically.
Well, I
So
mean, like, because you're gonna get fans who are like, that's not the way that if you're super
yeah,
religious, you're gonna be mad at those angles. Like,
yeah,
like if you're super religious right now, and they're like, if you're some people don't approve of some lifestyles, and if you're super
then
like,
they're
they're
gonna
gonna be
be
mad
they're
about
gonna
how the
be
last
offended
episode
by
went, right?
yeah. And I think for me, why I just take everything with a grain of salt is because I don't watch the show for the mythology. I don't watch it for like I start like you said
Really?
you watch you like the idea of like the cryptid of the week and stuff like that. I see that that's totally valid. For me, I've watched it from like season 2 on for the characters and the character development. That's why I got the tattoo I got is the Mark of Cain, specifically because the storyline of Dean struggling with like this darkness that's in him and how to like handle that. I related to that on like these like deeper levels of
Mhm.
like my own struggles with like PTSD and anxiety and depression and like the rage that I was dealing with. And so that storyline spoke to me because of the character. And it didn't hurt that like Jensen Ackles like played the hell out of that
Yeah, he
storyline.
did.
And
That's
so for
he's
me,
just a good
I watch
actor.
the show for like the characters. And that's why like I get super frustrated with like Dean when he like goes off the rails and like does something that's totally not like Dean worthy. But like and maybe that's why like this latest episode, like I really loved it too. I mean, maybe not even for the Destiel aspect, which
I
I'm a
was
Denzel
excited for
shipper,
that.
but
Yeah.
even just for I've always also like enjoyed the idea of like two strong male masculine characters that love each other.
Yeah.
Just at even just on like a friendship level, like letting that be like, like nobody has to be like, oh, it's no homo. Like no, they just like love each other, and I love that. But the way that Castiel was telling Dean, like the reason you're so angry is because you care so much. Like
Yep.
I don't know
That
how many
that
times
like
in my
cut
life
that
you
cut deep,
told me
man.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think
And
I'm
I
sure a bunch of
related.
us watched that and it went deep.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like
It's like,
that's why I am the way. And then,
yeah.
so for me, that character aspect of it, those two, and Castiel saying, "This is why you are the way you are, and I love you for it," and Dean being like, "Is this why people care about me? Like they see something I don't see." So like that, like character aspect of it, that's why I'm here. I'm here for that.
I
I'm here for
I
like,
feel like
the struggles between like the brothers and all this. But
oh,
anyway,
YouTube ruined that spoil. Yeah, man, you can't watch YouTube. They're gonna ruin everything for you. Like
yeah,
that's the so like I feel exact. So I feel like I have a little bit of that what you just said about the character development, but I've always it's just me. It's like I've always
I
been
mean,
like, is there a good story here? Like I'm not.
pull it up.
I want to do another episode about like other shows that like that. I most shows I watch like if the characters have to pull me in. So like
Yeah,
I'm with you on that one. Like if you can't just have a good storyline if the actors can't bring forth the story and if the characters can't make you feel
but you have to
like
relate to the
yeah,
characters
you got to be able to
yourself.
relate to like I can relate to Cass really well. And I can relate to Dean and Sam. I'm half in and half out on Sam because he's just an unpredictable character.
I mean, and I think I don't relate to. There's so many reasons I relate to Dean Winchester so much because like he's the older sibling, he's
Mhm.
angry as hell all the time, and like he'll do
He's
anything
constantly
to
trying to get
protect
people together and in line. Yeah.
his family. But then he makes mistakes, like he was like, "Oh, Jack's not one of us" or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, Dean, that's
Mm.
wrong." But I
He
think
said that
that's
out
going to
loud.
be
I'm
like,
like, mm.
I know, but I think that's. I think it's good to show those flaws in him too, though. That like sometimes he's wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes I disagree with that, and I think I wonder if like the whole like, oh, Dean didn't say I love you back. Number one, so if you think back to like when Cass was like beating the hell out of Dean and he had the angel tablet and he was gonna like stab him with the angel blade because he was being controlled by Naomi or whatever, everybody was upset that Dean didn't say I love you. Well, Dean, have you ever heard Dean at any point in the show say I love you? I think that's one of his hangups. It's one of his struggles. So I think if and when he says it, it's going to be, and I think that this provides a moment, and I kind of hope it goes this way. I'll be like super excited if it goes this way, that this will be a moment where he should have said it. He could have said it, but everything in that room
Yeah.
was like, wait,
Everything was
Cass is
happening
saying
so
this,
fast.
and here
Yeah.
comes Deb, and the empty's coming through, and like,
Yeah.
and when he didn't say it, that provides a chance for him to have a big regret. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and like,
yeah, yeah,
you get
yeah.
back to when Cass was gonna like stab him, and he didn't say I love you. He said, we need you, I'm family. For Dean to say I need you is the same thing. In my opinion, the
No, I
way
agree.
that I see
I think
that
I feel a little
him
bit
being
like what.
so self-reliant, for him to say I need you is
Yeah.
bigger than just saying I love you.
I feel like you're saying. I think there is an angle there where they're gonna be like, he missed his opportunity to say that, and I apologize if you hear a kid crying in the background. She woke up. But I feel like he's going to be like, I missed his opportunity to say I love you, and then somehow they're going to bring Cass back from the empty, and then he's going to have an opportunity to say, that's the way I'm writing it in my head right now. But
Yes, I'm writing
like,
it out that way.
like I really
Also,
want them
I mean,
to just give us all the cool stuff that we want, but
yeah,
I
like
know
I
that's
think
not
too,
how life goes.
yeah, sometimes that's not. And I think that they show that in pretty good ways, like when Cass was taken to purgatory. Was it the Leviathans that had him? I don't remember, but Dean was in purgatory, and it was just like last season or something, and he was up against a tree, and he was saying like I'm sorry to Castiel. Cass wasn't there, but he was hoping he could hear him because he was dealing with that like I didn't say this to you, and I wanted to say this to you, and he was like at the tree and he was like crying. Do you remember that moment?
Wait.
Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's after
yeah.
they left that weird purgatory dimension, right? Is that what you said?
Was it when they were looking for like the Leviathan flowers or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. So that dimension
That's
is that purgatory they're in?
They were in purgatory. I just don't
Right.
remember why.
Yeah, they were looking for they were looking for that flower, and then he makes Dean leave, and he stays behind, right? Or
No,
Yes.
no, no. That was the earlier season. This was just like last season. Like they went back for some reason. Someone in the chat tell us, because I forgot. My brain was
Oh
just
man,
cheating.
there's
All
so.
I remember is
I
Dean
do.
Lee.
I will guarantee you when this is over, I'm gonna reboot and start watching them all again.
But it was. But that's the kind of moment where like there was something that he wanted to say, and then now Cass is gone and I can't say it, so he prayed it to him or whatever, and then Cass was like, "I heard you," and
Yes,
you
I
know,
remember
I
that.
feel like there's a lot of moments where Dean knows he should have said something because he feels a certain way, but he didn't for whatever Dean's reason, or you know, he just didn't, and then he lost the moment. And this feels like another one of those moments, especially when he sat down, like at the end of the episode, he's sitting down and he's like, he's
Ignoring
not
phone calls. Yeah.
Sam's calling, he's not answering the phone for Sam, and he's
Yeah.
like devastated. Like I feel like he was feeling like
That's
he
just
was
one of
lost.
his. That's his character flaw, man. I mean, he's always been like
He
like
doesn't ask for help. He doesn't
Yeah.
express vulnerability, and that's one of his character traits. I
Right.
don't know anybody that's like that.
How about the two people on screen right now? But like, yeah, I'm trying to. So we're breaking down Dean. I'm still having a hard time breaking down Sam sometimes because I feel like he's like the opposite in a sense that he's chaotic good, if anything, right? But then obviously he has his moments because he was like fucking drinking demon blood and like
Right, yeah.
and riling everything up. He broke the seals, and so he has had his own. Like he was the one that basically released Lucifer, right? And then people always blame him for that, right? You bought hell on earth and stuff. He's part of that reason, and yet here he is still fighting. Like when, dude, um, when Dean pulled his gun on him, I was like, dude, what are you doing?
But that was. I feel like a lot of people were really angry about it because like Dean wouldn't do that. Even I had that thought, like he wouldn't do that. But then I was like, I think it was meant to show how desperate Dean was, and like how like sometimes people act out of character because they're just so lost in that moment and whatever's happening. And I think that's what that was meant to show, because like when Sam, I feel like, okay, as someone who struggles with compartmentalizing things and a little bit of disassociating, when Sam said put the gun away, Dean looked down and realized he had pulled a gun on Sam.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I think it was a way to show that like
he was like, oh, what's this?
Oh shit, like I'm so lost in the whole I cussed, I'm sorry.
No, you fucking drop F-bombs, I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like Sam is a way that to remind everybody of their humanity, like because he's always trying to remind Dean like why we do this or whatever, and Dean has his reasons and then Sam has his reasons, and
they both have their flaws, right? Which is what I was trying to think with Sam's, like they both have had their own flaws, which is they're only human, right? I guess all the characters in the show have had their flaws to a certain degree.
And I think that's the beauty of it though.
So if you can relate to a good guy, like I miss what's his name? Oh my god, why am I forgetting? Crowley. As much as, obviously he's evil and he's a demon, but he was such a good character. And I was just like silently hoping that at some point they'd bring him back somehow. How did he die? I forget.
He was stabbed with an angel blade by Lucifer.
Lucifer, yeah. And I was hoping
he left the show, like the actor.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I just assumed they were like, we're done with this character. We don't know what else to do with him. Because I thought it was like
that's kind of where it was. They didn't know what to do with him, and so there was some tension from what I'm reading, and then it was a mutual decision that Mark Sheppard leave the show, from what I understand.
Mutual. Yeah.
He was a great character. I mean, and Nick Pellegrino, for all of my problems with the actor, he played that part amazing. Can we just give all of the awards to Misha Collins playing Lucifer, pretending to be Cass? Like, can we just appreciate
that was brilliant, by the way. Yeah.
If you go back and you look at the Cass Lucifer, where he's possessed by Lucifer, and the way that Misha Collins acts that, like he acts the way that Nick Pellegrino was Lucifer. Like it's insane. So just go back and watch that art just to appreciate Misha Collins in all of his glory.
I always remember. So what's the name of the actor who played Lucifer?
Nick Pellegrino.
I always remember him from Lost. he was he was one of the brothers. Go figure. He's playing another religious character. You know, he's like I think he
I get
was
much lost. I
it's
know.
Cain and Abel, and I think he was
Oh, we talk about
Abel.
pain.
I mean,
What's
I
the
love.
point of this episode? Do we have a specific topic? Because I'm just
No,
gonna
it's
talk
just
about
supernatural. You
it.
can talk about anything you want. So like the guy who played he played Cain, right? The dude with the beard and the long hair.
Yes. Oh,
That
he's my
actor
favorite.
is.
Like, he's one of my favorite characters and actors on the show. And
Every
he's just
time I
like,
see that
he's
dude,
there long enough.
I get jealous of that dude's hair and beard, man.
Oh, it's glorious.
I'm just like, I would take that dude out for
Even
drinks.
Omundson, I think is his name.
He's a great actor. Everything I've seen him in, I'm just like, this dude really brings everything to a performance. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is, you know?
Like he was Cain. He was just Cain, and it was beautiful.
Did he? I forget what happened to that character now. I need to go rewatch a bunch of this stuff. He just leaves, right? Once the mark is removed?
I can't remember, guys. Like I say, I'm a fan of the show. Well, because I remember.
No, I mean,
like,
you can't be a codex of it.
Events, but I remember moments in the show that like
Yes.
missed something to me. Like the scene with after Dean left and he has the mark of Cain and he had beat the crap out of Cass and then he like bailed.
Yeah.
Him tearing up that hotel room because he remembered what he did to Cass. Like I remember moments like those. That's the stuff that sticks with me. I won't remember like some monster or like who did what, but I'll remember that stuff.
Yeah, I remember the monsters as well, but I remember when they introduced Cain, I was like, this is, so that's what I'm talking about. That was one of the few cool story arcs that followed through and didn't fizzle out.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, they didn't half-ass it. They were like, this is where we're going to go with it.
And then I feel like after he had the mark, I liked the story arc of him struggling with the mark, but I feel like they didn't know what to do with the mark after he
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So there was a point where once he got it, they were like, and then they like dump the blade in the ocean somewhere.
Like they didn't know what it was, and that's where Amara came from. And
oh yeah, that's
her
right.
obsession with Dean was like uncomfortable. Like, and I have no problem with like the guys having like
crushes.
Like people have a problem with that, but like hers was this weird obsession.
Well, I think it's a little bit of like she was in a dark zone or whatever the hell she was in for that millennia, and then when she shows up, the first thing she sees is Dean, right? So she's like,
yeah, which could explain why. And she was also like, since she was trapped inside the mark, she was inside of Dean. That's probably But then why didn't she have the same affection for Cain? Yeah.
Maybe
so I feel like they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Did they They dumped that blade in the middle of the ocean somewhere, right? Is that what they?
Yeah, probably did, but then they got it back because he had to.
Oh yeah. I don't remember what happened to the blade. Man, we need a serious session on this. All I remember is the last 2 seasons right now because I've just been trying to like catch up, and at this point I'm just like, I'm just trying to finish. At this point, I just want to see a good ending, and I like every week I'm like, give me something good, guys. Like the last episode had its moments, but again, it was just. I feel like it feels rushed.
We're sort of treading water, because I feel like I'm in that state because I've watched a lot of interviews with the guys during like COVID and stuff, and they would do these Zoom interviews where they talk about like the last 2 episodes were the 2 that they had left to film. They had filmed all of these. But the editing and stuff like that, they didn't have a team to edit. That's why they weren't released yet. And then they filmed the last 2. And I remember like Jensen Ackles saying in a couple of interviews where like it was almost good that they had the break between these episodes and the last 2, because apparently the last 2, he's said repeatedly that they feel like a season finale and then a series finale. And that they had to emotionally, like he felt like he had more time to emotionally prepare for them. So I'm excited for those last 2 episodes. And the way that they have talked about them, the actors are happy with them. And I contrast that with like when you ask the cast of Game of Thrones how they feel about it versus I'm excited for them in that it feels like the actors feel like it was wrapped up in a decent way.
I felt like they were ready to wrap it up like 2 seasons ago, They were, but they literally, I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago when they were at San Diego Comic-Con, they did it, they had this live, like I went down there to get photos for you, remember, and I almost died in that crowd. But when they were speaking, they were like, they said like we will keep doing seasons as long as the fans want seasons, right? Like it was.
Well, as long as the fans want seasons, and it doesn't, and the cast is still like
and they
Yeah.
were still happy making more seasons. But I could, like you could, I,
They're getting tired. Like
yeah, you
it's
want to move on, right?
exhausting.
Like, um, Jared is now playing Walker, Texas
Walker
Ranger.
Texas Ranger.
They showed a trailer, but no video footage. They showed just a logo, and I was like,
Good for him.
good for him. You're not Chuck Norris, but that's cool. Because that would be awesome if they brought Chuck Norris in, like maybe it's Chuck's nephew or something, um, and then Jensen is now on The Boys season 3.
And he and his family have he and his wife and their family have the brewery in Austin, and so they have other stuff that they're doing. And I think at some point it's just
That's
you
just what
get
you're gonna do
it's
as an
just
actor.
exhausting. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you don't want
And
to get.
in interviews, like spoiler alert here, Jensen has said that there is potential for like stuff down the road, like
Yeah,
a season, kind of like Dexter's doing now, where there's like another
right.
season. So
I mean,
that
you could do like
I'm
a.
interested to see how they do it because how would they do it? Like I've always wondered, like, are they going to kill them off? Are they going to live out the
I,
life? Like, how's it going to do it? And so I'm interested to see which way it's going to go.
I feel like if they do, when he said, I remember that when he said that in the interview, and I thought, if they're gonna do something like that, I feel like they're gonna do it like, do you remember when X Files came back and they had like, I think it was 5 episodes or 6 episodes, and I feel like that's how they would do it. They bring in like a small 5 or 6 episode arc, which
Yeah.
is like one whole, that's season, and
Yeah.
and the X Files did a pretty good job. They did like their typical main episode filler, main episode filler, main episode. That count is off. So it has to end on a main episode, but you get my point. And I feel like Supernatural could stick to that formula if they want to come back, but you better have a good story. That's where
And I
X
think
Files,
that's the only way they would come back is if there's like a good solid
yeah,
like
and that's where the X
story.
Files stuff failed. Right? It had an okay story. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, if they have a good story, you can bring those actors back. But I feel like it's nice for them to get out and do something. They probably want to be like, I want to do something different, and they're
Yeah.
playing like Walker is a popular character. That show is super popular and hilarious, but and Jensen's character on The Boys is pretty. He's a cool character and a controversial character. So I think
Yeah, I don't think Knuckles is scared to be controversial.
yeah, no, I don't think he is either, and it's a great move for him. It's people get to see him in a different. Because I remember him from um, Smallville.
Yeah.
Remember? I remember when Supernatural first came out. I was like, "That's the coach from Smallville." Like.
That's why I
It
love
was,
that episode where he does the dodgeball, like
yeah,
throwback.
I was just like, "That's a good throwback."
That's the stuff I enjoy about the show too, is like they don't I don't think they've ever taken themselves too seriously. Like I don't think the show's ever like taken itself so seriously that like they can't have an episode where like they like the one episode where the kid does the spell and then he like body swaps with Sam Winchester and he's like and the woman's like gives him a compliment and he's like I know right like that's
yeah,
or the Tall Tales episode where the trickster, he's still the trickster at that point, is like messing with them and like they're telling their stories, but they're mad at each other. So it's like Sam's like, Dean, we don't have time for your blah 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 blah. Like I love episodes like that because they're so fun. And like it shows that they don't take this show so seriously that they can't just be ridiculous.
yeah. Like I trying to remember which there was an episode where like Dean's character, I think a little kid is in his body, or he's scared of everything, and they open like the locker.
Yellow fever.
Yeah,
and he's got like that itch and like
yeah, and he screams like a little kid, and I'm just like, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I like little moments in those episodes where they're like, where they show you like where Dean eats a burger and he's like enjoying the hell out of that burger, or he gets like apple pie or whatever, and he's like, oh my god, and you're just like, that shows like the human side of him, right? Like it's not always just hunting down things and constantly fighting. I did like when the show gave them like their own little fortress of solitude, and it had all those cool little and there's so much in there that they don't know about still, which is like
I know, well, that's why like just this last episode where they had to look for Death's Door, they didn't really have a reason to look for that before. Like they
right.
haven't gone through all those boxes and stuff, which I do find it a little hard to believe that Sam in his like
Right.
quest for knowledge on like slow days, having dug through some boxes. But
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
goes to show that there's like so much in that bunker.
Did
that
you
I
notice when they were going through all those boxes, all the little relics they were pulling out? One was like, I think it was a cross of Coronado from fucking Indiana Jones, and but the other one was definitely the Cup of Christ from
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. I was just like, are these just all old Universal artifacts that they found?
Yeah.
Props. I was just like, this is great, like, but yeah, like when they found the, was it a forest nymph?
Yeah, she was the forest nymph, which
I thought that was a cool
I
idea.
I think they did a decent enough job with it. I thought it was a fun episode because it did show like the things these boys missed out on, and even when she first showed up and she was like making them lunches and like doing like Thanksgiving dinner, I was like, she's not gonna be good. And so I knew right away, but I felt like it showed that they were so thirsty for normal experiences and normal life, and like Dean was just loving it. Like there's this person here who's like, also, can we just take a moment to appreciate that she was holding Dean Winchester's underwear and he had multiple pairs of Scooby-Doo boxers. Can we just
Yeah.
for 1 second?
nice little like throwback in there for his favorite cartoon, right?
And it shows little glimpses of like the things he enjoyed. And also, I don't know if you've ever like picked up on the fact that Dean Winchester's a giant nerd.
Yeah,
huge
totally.
Nerd. He references pop culture like nerd stuff all the time. Game of Thrones and Scooby Doo and stuff like that. Dude he binge watches.
Yes.
Everything.
I mean,
but yeah, I think she provided an opportunity to like show how thirsty they are. That they were so thirsty for normal, like loving life that like they just immediately trusted that this forest nymph was like.
Yeah, I got the second she started making them meals and trying to get them like.
It was the shakes for Jack.
In orders.
I was like,
yeah, I was just like, something's up with those shakes, and then I was like, because he was drinking them a little too much. I'm like, man, you're drinking those like crack.
It was like, but why are you not giving anybody else a smoothie or whatever?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm feeling a weird misery vibe here, you know,
right,
like I was like,
it was great.
I was like, this is not good. So one of the people in the chat said, by the way, in regards to Crowley, he's technically stuck in the empty as well.
Oh right, yeah.
So, I mean, it would be cool if they were like, all these people are coming out of the empty,
Yeah.
But I don't, what dramatic angle are you going to take it to is, I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. I have a question for you because I don't know that we've ever like talked about it. And it's kind of a random question.
Yeah.
Of all the supernatural deaths, which one hit you the hardest?
Oh, that's
it's been like.
Well, the problem is they kill people and keep bringing them back. And I feel like that's a tough question, man. I don't know. Like, I felt bad when Castiel died first, but they brought him back. I definitely felt bad when Dean went to hell, because I'm like that, because he was gone for 4 months.
Yeah, which was like 40 years or something.
40 years in hell. Who am I not remembering?
Do you want to hear mine?
I mean, I feel bad that Bobby. I love Bobby.
Bobby is mine.
Yeah.
Because even though, and I love the actor, and Bobby is technically back, he's alternate universe Bobby.
Yes.
Same thing with Charlie. He's alternate universe Charlie.
Yes.
So the Bobby from this universe and the Charlie from this universe, I think the reason that I didn't mourn the deaths of, Charlie and Kevin so much is because Bobby's death crushed me. I cried. And, they died before, and, we'd lost characters before, but his, I died.
You're like, that dude's not coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he did, they didn't even bring him back. They brought AU Bobby back.
Yeah.
AU Bobby, which is cool, and I like that Bobby, but it's it's not the same Bobby,
It's not the same, yeah. You could tell, yeah. Thanks for bringing up that painful memory.
You're welcome.
I didn't think about that. In the chat, they're saying Bobby, too. Yeah, because I think that character was, he was
a
father figure, yeah. He was the father figure to them after. And I always feel I always get this feeling of awesome when they bring the father back briefly, but then I always feel like they can't keep him there because he's technically not supposed to, when they brought back the alternate, or no, they brought him back, but they had to send him back.
Yes.
And I was like,
and I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I want to put that out there, but the character John Winchester was a bad father. He was not.
Oh yeah, he was not good to them.
He was abusive, and and Jeffrey Dean Morgan played the hell out of it, and I
Yeah.
understand why he was the way he was. Like I have empathy for why that character did what they were doing,
Yeah.
but he caused all of the issues that the boys have.
Oh
So
yeah. I
it's when
mean,
he comes
like,
back, and I think it was nice that they brought him back enough for him to say, "I'm proud of you" and all this kind of stuff. But I was still mad at him.
well, yeah. I mean, you can't be raising two kids and being like, hey, by the way, we're gonna go kill some monsters, and occasionally I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave you alone in a hotel room for weeks at a time.
Put all of that responsibility on little Dean, and it's like it wasn't fair.
Yeah. No. No. That's
But,
the.
but I do give credit. I do give credit to the fact that that character made them who they are. So
Yeah.
like, you.
I liked how they showed the storyline back. I think it was like season 6 maybe or 7, where they show the storyline on how he became who
Yeah.
he is, right? Like he was just a normal dude.
That's why I'm like, I see why
Yeah.
that character is the way.
And then he's like, I am now a hunter, and now I've
Yeah.
got this crazy. I miss like they never use the book anymore, like like John Winchester's book. I'm like that thing is chock full of information. So I
Yeah, I
like
think once they
those.
found the bunker, they didn't need it anymore.
Well, I get it, but I always feel like it would be nice just to be like, I wonder if Dad's journal has anything to say about this, because he's hunted like everything, and that also tells you how cool to a degree that character is. That dude hunted everything,
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else.
It was a
Oh,
good character. I'm still mad at him because he wasn't good to his kids.
oh yeah. I mean, there's no way around that. He was bad to his kids. He couldn't take them with, and he didn't know what to do. It's like, dude, stop hunting.
Yeah.
Stay home to kids.
And
Joe-
again, it shows that humans are flawed. They make bad decisions all the time, and it's like,
That show does a good job of showing that. I mean,
Yeah.
this show does a good job of showing that. Someone else said Joe and Ellen, they were trapped in that,
Oh, wow,
remember, in the
yes.
house, and I was like, yeah,
I compartmentalized that death. It was so bad. It was so like, I can't even watch that scene. Like literally after, like when they're sitting there and she has actually I think Joe had
yeah,
or-
the detonator.
Yeah, Joe had the detonator, and then Ellen was holding her, and like she just like that. I mean, she just committed suicide basically, but it was because of her baby. And like when she was like, she said something, and Joe didn't say anything back. Like that moment, like remembering it right now, like I'm about to cry.
Yeah,
Because then she knew she was gone, and as a mother of a daughter, it's like that moment, just like, oh,
Yeah.
never let that happen to me.
well, I feel like they do things. Those characters, I felt like they just were like, we don't know what to do with these characters, so we're gonna give them this glorious ending.
Yeah, and they did those characters, like if they had to kill them off, that they did really good there. That was a really good way for those characters to go.
It wasn't just like they didn't just get like randomly killed or
Yeah.
never show up again. Like I
I
like
wonder if there was some regret there because then they brought in Jodie and Claire and all of them and what's her name, the cop,
oh yeah,
I love her. What's her name? Somebody.
that's
I love her.
Jodie. Oh, you're talking about the other cop with like the twang in her speech, right? Oh, what's her name?
Oh my god! Somebody in the chat. Tell
Whatever happened to? Oh, somebody in the chat, help us out, man.
But they're recurring characters and they're strong,
I mean,
so.
she up until last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the whatever? I'm trying to remember what happened to. Remember, Joe and Ellen had that like computer hacker.
Ash. I remember he was in heaven. They went to his heaven.
Oh, that's right.
So
he did die too.
I
like those. I like that character. I like Garth. I like the like they made him a werewolf now, but I still think it's a cool angle.
Yeah.
I like that actor. I think he's a cool actor, and so like, I mean, we got about 5 or 10 minutes left before the end here, but I'm trying to think. Like, I guess there's not really much you could say about the last couple episodes. Just hopeful that.
Yeah, so we're just kind of.
I'm hoping they don't just try to recycle anything and just be like, everybody's back. Everybody's. Yeah. You can't have that. Cookie cutter like happy ending. It should be somewhat. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a happy ending, but it shouldn't be like, let's just give everybody everything they want.
Well, and that's.
I feel like that would be a cop out.
Because I feel like Dexter's. It's hard to, especially a show that has so much death and violence. It's hard to wrap it up in a way.
Right.
That just satisfies everyone, and it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I think at the end you and I are probably going to just be like, yeah, You know, like
Thanks for
those,
15 years of enjoyable episodes and my tattoo.
so somebody, some in the chat, they said half brother Adam is rumored to appear as well as Uriel.
Yeah.
Is he Uriel?
No, he's Michael.
He's Michael, right?
Yeah.
So
I
Uriel
think.
jumps into him.
Like, is he still in there? Because I feel like there was Michael and there's half brother Adam, but I don't remember. Like,
Oh,
I feel
I'm
like
mixing up
they
the
don't know what to do
characters.
with Adam. I feel like they don't know what to do with him. Like, they introduced him for this story arc, and then it was like the show kept going, and they were like, "Ugh, what do we do with this guy?" So
I
we just
mean,
kind of
what's
accepted.
Uriel's
First of all, we're
job?
locked in a cage for a decade, which, come on, guys. It's
It's
your
a
brother.
long time.
Yeah.
What's Uriel's job? Is he a messenger? I don't remember.
He was one of the angels, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's definitely an
So
angel. I just don't remember what his whole story arc was right now off the top of my head. I would have
you're
to Google it.
terrible at this.
We're like subpar Supernatural fans here.
Yeah, with
I
our
think I think I
tattoos.
just have so much in my head with it.
There's so
I'm
much
going
to
all over the
remember.
place with it.
And I haven't rewatched this series in a long time, and that's I think that's
No,
part of
I
it.
need to get through all the shows I haven't finished before I start watching
Not
stuff.
me. I'm just gonna watch this show repeatedly for the rest of my life.
I mean, it's not a bad plan. Well, okay, we're about 5 minutes from the end. So if there's anything else anybody wants to ask or anything else
Yeah,
you want
anybody
to,
have any questions or like wants our thoughts on something?
no, it seems like people are just agreeing with a lot of stuff we're
Everybody
saying.
want to see our tattoos again?
Check this one out. It finally healed. That came out really nice.
Yeah.
See, I can't get color on my skin. It won't. Like I was thinking
have
about
a
getting
great
some kind of purple. I was
canvas.
thinking about getting some kind of purple here for the violet, but my tattoo guy was like,
It's not gonna show
"It's
up.
not going to show." Uriel is trying to free Lucifer, and yes, Michael is with Adam. Okay, that's a good story arc if they try it.
Is
Because
Lucifer still in the empty?
I think he's in the empty. Did you know, like, when I got this, I had to, like, I was sending you photos back and forth because I had to, like, research it. And then I found a Reddit post where this guy was, like, breaking down the actual, like, this is the actual one from the show because there's a specific way these triangles are formed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, the made for hats and t-shirts and stuff way. And they were like, don't get the wrong one. It's still right, but it's also wrong because it's not official. Because that's like
Look
that
at my mark of Cain. That is not official.
I mean, but yours I think is a nice like version of it, right? Like I didn't want to like differentiate on this one too much, but I also had to make sure that they didn't put the two horns going up. I had to make sure that's 1 point going up and then two horns went down. Because if you went the other way, apparently it means you're satanic. And I was like, great. Like I told you when I was getting it, there's a Satanist in the seat with me, or not with me, next to me. He was like the nicest guy, believe it or not. And he was just like, hey, you Satanist too? And I was like, no. Like, and also like I'm getting jacked with this needle, so I'm just like, what? Like, and it was a good conversation actually. He had a lot of cool stuff to say about the Church of Satan. Believe it or not there, like there's some crazy ones obviously who take it to an extreme level. This guy was very down to earth. Come on. He was very chill to talk to. So, okay, well, if nobody has any other questions, we're gonna wrap this up, and we'll probably, I'm guessing, do another episode after the season closes.
I would love to.
Yeah, because there's more to talk about.
Again. Like I'll try to catch up on some stuff that I couldn't remember.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna go look up Uriel now because I'm trying to. I'm having a hard time picturing, and that's the thing. I think.
15 years, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we don't remember, and there's gonna be stuff. That's the thing about like not knowing like everything about it, even though like we have tattoos and like our pretty big fans. Like there's so much to forget, and then you remember the things that it hit you the hardest. Like I remember most of the Mark of Cain storyline because that's the storyline that I like relate to the most. So.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to. I got all these people are messaging me about this election thing now, and I'm just like, everybody be cool. He died in season 4, so not sure how his return will work. Got it. Well, all right, so we're gonna wrap this up, and then you and I are gonna talk for a minute because I'm getting bombarded with some cool information here.
Okay.
Thanks for anyone who watched. I appreciate it. Again, I'm gonna try. So I was trying to do this show on Saturdays mainly, but I think I'm gonna do, since I'm on Twitch, as one of my friends pointed out, I can basically go live whenever I want because it's Twitch,
and you can watch it.
Then you can watch it, and I'm gonna, I record it here. I upload it to the YouTube channel, so you can watch it there as well. So I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 casts a week instead of just one a week, because I feel like everyone's schedule is different, and I'm going to take guests as I get them. Like this morning, my guest canceled, and then you
I was
jumped
at the
up.
grocery store. He was like, "Hey, you want to be on the show and talk about Supernatural?"
You're like, I'm shopping,
"Oh,
but I'll be
okay."
there soon. I'm like, cool, thank God. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Panicle Podcast for Geeks.
Always keep fighting.
I will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.